right, guys, we are back. It's Monday, and I do actually have some news for you. And today, I think I'm keeping it pretty much horror-centric because that's what's been coming down the pipe, so I don't want to waste any time. Let's go ahead and dig into it. And as always, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff because it helps us out a ton. And if you want to stay on top of the news, everything that is happening in the entertainment industry, this is the place to be because I am covering everything that no one else is. So make sure to subscribe and keep up to date on what is going on. And as always, make sure to visit criticalist.com. Yes, that's criticalist.com. You can find us in Android and Apple stores as well. And if you have been watching the Alien films of late and are catching up in preparation for Alien Romulus, then make sure to drop the reviews for the previous Alien films because this movie is coming out this week. I am quite excited. We are going to be reviewing that as well on Criticalist Cast, so I want to hear your thoughts. And this is just following along with that horror movie theme that I'm going with for today. And we actually have some lists with these ranked, and actually the most in-depth, we have an Alien Predator list from Kyle Off Script here, who's given us all of his films ranked in this franchise or connected franchises, along with DK Movie Lover, Macvision, and Still Writing. They've all given us lists here. So let us know your thoughts on the Alien films. Make a list if you want, and draw up some reviews for these movies. We want to hear what you guys think about it. Now, on to the news for the week. One thing I did want to touch on really quickly was the box office. Basically, the deal with the box office right now is that Wolverine and Deadpool is still dominating. They have crossed the billion mark. They have made the billion. So, you know, Disney is on the climb from where it was earlier in the year between Inside Out 2 and this. And then actually following behind that was It Ends With Us, which a lot of people weren't expecting. And I had warned that this might actually happen. And it ended up being that this movie made a pretty hefty chunk of cash. They're projecting around 50 million for a new release, and this movie did not cost much to make, so they've already made back what they have in it, and so now it's just upwards from here, which is really great news for a, you know, film of this nature being based off a book and being more of a suspense kind of romance film. So I'm interested to see what happens going forward with these types of movies, whether this one gets a sequel. I don't know what's going on with these books, but anyways, Twisters is still doing some stuff out there, and Borderlands ate a big doo-doo sandwich. If you've seen our review, you'll know our thoughts on that, and if you haven't, make sure to go check out that review. But we did not dig Borderlands because the movie's not good, and clearly people did not show up for it because they heard that it was not good, and it is looking at, it only made 8.8 million, and supposedly this movie cost a whole lot of money to make. So this is really going to put a hurting on the studios for this movie, and Despicable Me is still doing some traction as well this week, so I did want to touch on some of this. Now, for the first piece of news, the big piece for today, I think, which really has me interested, is news about James Wan. And the news here is that James Wan is developing a Creature from the Black Lagoon film for Universal. This actually has me quite excited. I saw this and I was like, oh man, heck yeah, we're getting Creature from the Black Lagoon. And then I saw James Wan and I was like, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this. Because if you know anything about James Wan, the guy can put out excellent stuff, and he can also put out stuff that is questionable. I think, honestly, for me, his biggest failures personally were his Aquaman movies, and those have been the two, in my opinion, stinkers that he's released. But this guy, the one thing with him is that he's, you know, he is experimental, but I think what hangs him up sometimes is he can be quite goofy. And if you have seen Malignant, which is right here, which is what he did in between the two Aquaman films, then you'll know what I'm talking about. And people either loved or hated Malignant. I actually, after thinking back about it, trying to remember my thoughts on it, I think I actually liked this movie at the end of the day, even though it was so strange, and this was more back to his horror roots, which I think is where he belongs. And I mean, that's the thing, is if you look at this guy's catalog, it was based in horror. I mean, really where he got known was from doing the original Saw film. And I'm not into torture porn, but I really actually liked the original Saw movie quite a bit when I saw it back then. But I mean, he did, you know, Dead Silence, and I didn't see Death Sentence, but Insidious, that franchise has been really long running and quite great. And the first film I loved. And then as well with The Conjuring, that another long running franchise. So he's done multiple entries into those franchises, which have done really well, and he is the mastermind behind those. And also, I think he did a great job with Fast and Furious 7. But then where he kind of fell off, I think, was these Aquaman films. I just don't think he was the best fit for those type of movies. But I mean, with all of that being said, I think I am definitely still excited about this. And one thing actually that had me really interested was if you look at his upcoming films, he has a Call of Cthulhu film on here. And I don't know if it's saying pre-production. I hope he is making this movie. I want some freaking Lovecraft movies. Please, for the love of God, give me Lovecraft. And if he can do it right, then let him be the man. Let him do it. But back to the news here, which is that it's sounding like he's got his hands on Creature from the Black Lagoon, which I think is a really pretty solid sign. And what it says is it would mark the first film James Wan would direct since acquiring his Atomic Monster banner with Blumhouse. So he's created this company, Atomic Monster, which is kind of under the Blumhouse umbrella. It says Deadline has learned that he is in early talks to potentially helm The Creature from the Black Lagoon for Atomic Monster and Universal Pictures. Wan is developing a grounded, modernized retelling that leans into visceral horror while paying respects to the original classic. Wan will produce the film under the Atomic Monster banner with some other folks involved with his company, and basically what it breaks down here is that there's not a lot much else known about this film yet or what's actually going to shake out of it, but I'm excited. I think that Universal needs to keep digging into this Universal catalog of monsters. And if you didn't know, they a while back they had worked on something called the Dark Universe, and this fell into pieces and was dead on arrival, which was a real shame. Honestly, they were leading it with Tom Cruise in his Mummy film, and I actually didn't hate that nearly as bad as a lot of people did. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either, and which a lot of people thought it was. But either way, it's kind of like my thought was just keep trucking with it. Now, granted, when you start to look at the other things that they were planning as part of this universe, maybe it's a good thing that it didn't happen, but it doesn't mean that they can't head down this route some more. I mean, because like Channing Tatum as Van Helsing, I don't know. I'm not fully buying that. The Dracula Untold movie did not do great. People didn't like it a lot, but Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, heck yeah, and they teased him in that one film. I was all game for that. But then it's like, there was Johnny Depp's Invisible Man movie. There was a Phantom of the Opera and the Hunchback film. Now, Dwayne Johnson as Wolfman, no interest in seeing that whatsoever. Thank God this did not get made. I don't want that. Keep it to yourself. But there is a lot of rumors that there is still a Wolfman film on the horizon, but it's with Ryan Gosling. And I can get behind that, and I would watch that. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. And they talked about, Angelina Jolie's Bride of Frankenstein, all of these things that were going to be part of this universe, but it just fell apart. Now, they've continued to make films, and I didn't realize that. I mean, I guess it makes sense that Universal was putting them out, but it's like there have been films of late, like Lisa Frankenstein, which still technically falls under this banner, which I didn't realize. And also Abigail. Now, this was an interesting thing, and I actually just saw this the other day, and I'm going to be dropping my review on Criticlist very soon. Spoiler alert, but I had a lot of fun with this movie. And what I did not realize is that supposedly this comes from the Dracula's Daughter film, which is that Dracula had a daughter named Abigail. And they did not say anything about Dracula in this movie. And all of this is very intriguing. I'm curious to see because Abigail did do pretty well and was quite well received. So I'm curious to see if they keep going with this film franchise and the Abigail stuff, and if maybe they tie it into some Dracula things and expand on that universe. And they do mention here that Wolfman film. Now, they do talk about the Invisible Man movie, which Leah Whannell also directed, and I thought it was hot, steaming pile of trash. I hate that movie so deeply. It's garbage. I do not want to acknowledge that it exists. Please do not wrap that into any kind of upcoming MonsterVerse. But we also have, Nosferatu coming down the pipe. So Universal is still working in this monster universe, and I hope that they continue to do it. I hope that this movie is a massive hit, and that I hope James Wan does do it, and that he does it right. The one thing that I would say about this film is let's still lean into practical effects. Please, we do not need CGI for a film like this. You can make the creature look really cool. He doesn't have to look as goobery as he used to look. Like, he can look awesome. This can be a great film. I actually have a really cool print that will probably be behind me before too terribly long, but I still just need to get it in a frame. I really love these type of movies. I love creature features, monster films. Let's do it. Give it to James Wan. Let him run with it. I want more monster films. So Universal, keep at it. Let's do this. So next piece of news here that I wanted to talk about was Peacock has dropped a teaser for something called Hysteria. Now, I am very intrigued with this, and basically, this is looking like it's going to be a retro 80s throwback kind of film, or not film, but television show. I mean, obviously, we're tapping into some Stranger Things vibes here, and but if you know me, if you know Criticalist, then you know that this is my vibe, this is my thing, I'm all in for it, and this show really has me intrigued. If you could take a look here in the trailer, this is actually the mom from Modern Family, so she's going to be, I'm guessing, one of the main moms or characters within this film or show. And basically what it says here is, it says it's written and executive produced by Matthew Scott Kine. Hysteria is set during the satanic panic of the late 1980s when a beloved varsity quarterback disappears. It follows a struggling high school heavy metal band of outcasts who realize they can capitalize on the town's sudden interest in the occult by building a reputation as a satanic metal band. But when a bizarre series of murders, kidnappings, and reported supernatural activity triggers a leather-studded witch hunt, it leads directly back to them. This concept sounds awesome. I am totally game for this. I'm obviously in for the 80s genre. The satanic panic time period was extraordinarily interesting. The things that happened then, and I mean, obviously, like, you know, metal music leaned into all of that. So this is following in everything that happened at that time period, and I am super game. And one of the things that is a little caveat to this, which they are teasing, is right at the end of what's happening with the show is it says guest starring Bruce Campbell. And if you're a Bruce Campbell fan, then obviously you're going to show up to this. They did drop some photos, and there is a picture of Bruce Campbell. It looks like he is going to be playing a police officer here in this show. So I'm excited to see him do some stuff. I'm curious if he'll ham it up or be more serious in this. Usually Bruce Campbell is kind of Bruce Campbell, but he's a national treasure, and I will take him however you give them to me. So the screenshots of this obviously look very period specific, looks pretty cool, and I really want to see what shakes out with this show. Here's the metal band right here, and they're called Death Crunch, which is a pretty wicked name for a metal band. This show sounds awesome, and it is going to be dropping 8 episodes that you can binge on October 18th. So this sounds like the perfect Halloween show for us. So I will be watching Hysteria, I am sure, unless it's just a stinker. But I'm going to probably try it out regardless. And fingers crossed it's great. Horror's been doing pretty well right now, and I am all for dropping as many horror things in October as we can because Halloween season is the tits. So give us some horror stuff in October. I'm game. Now, last little piece of news here is about another horror thing coming out, which is The Monkey. And they have dropped a teaser for it. It's going to be starring Theo James, and the trailer is almost, there's not much of anything to it, but the big thing here that I think caught my attention is that it's going to be done by and directed by Longlegs director the Longlegs director, and this is based on a Stephen King adaptation. So this is going to be done by Osgood Perkins, who did Longlegs. Now, if you have not seen Longlegs, it's looking fairly solid. It's got a 71% right now on Criticalist. This has been a big buzz movie this year, but it sounds like it's a bit divisive. But honestly, I think a lot of good horror is divisive. And I mean, our reviews are a bit all over the place. It seems like mostly they're rads and most excellents for the most part. Now, we do have, like, Sean Zubox here gave it a 30%, Mort Lemur gave it a 38%, and we have one more bogus, but no heinouses. So nobody's, like, absolutely hating on this thing. True Pop Culture gave it a 35% as well. But by and large, it seems like it's mostly, rads and most excellence, and then a few decents, scattered in and out of here. But from all accounts, it sounds like, at least as far as directorial vision, this movie was quite creative, and that, more than anything, it had a hell of a marketing campaign because it got a lot of people's attention just with how they marketed it. Now, on to, The Monkey, which is based off a Stephen King short story, which I'm not sure if I've read. I've read so much Stephen King. Granted, I've fallen off on a lot of his newer stuff just because the guy has gotten so hyper-political that I struggle. But, I do still think he's a fantastic writer and an excellent, excellent storyteller more than anything. But basically, it says, based on Stephen King's short story of the same name, The Monkey, follows twin brothers, Bill and Hall, who are both going to be played by Theo James, who find their father's old monkey toy in their childhood home's attic. Once a series of gruesome deaths begin, the brothers decide to throw the monkey away and move on with their lives, growing apart over the years. But when the mysterious deaths begin again, the brothers must reunite to find a way to destroy the monkey for good before it kills again. So basically, it's this little toy monkey that's murdering the crap out of people. And I'm interested in that for sure. And they are really clearly capitalizing on the Longlegs director Osgood Perkins being, this is his next film, and that movie has gotten so much buzz, and being able to connect it with, Stephen King's. And also, we were just talking about James Wan. He is producing this, so him having his hands in it is also another kind of badge of honor. This movie sounds pretty neat. I'm interested. Very strange concept. It sounds like something that they could have a lot of fun with, and, we all love a little bit of horror, so why the heck not? This is going to be coming out on my motherfucking birthday, February 21st, so, maybe this will be a birthday movie for me. I'll just go and check out The Monkey if it actually sounds and looks like it's going to be pretty cool. So I'm tentatively excited for this movie. Sounds neat. I want to see Longlegs first before I decide, where I'm going to sit with this film, but I think this is promising. This is a lot of cool horror news. Horror is definitely, having a good run right now, and I'm all for it. Keep it on trucking, especially after seeing Abigail the other day and having a lot of fun with that. So as for today, though, that is it. That's all I've got for you guys, and I will be back again tomorrow as usual with the news, but make sure to like and subscribe, please, folks. It helps us a ton, and I will actually be on a stream tonight. I will be on Shagsworth's show. We are doing more of an interview format, so if you want to hear a little bit more about kind of, Criticalist, the making of it, how it came to be, and me, and why, and all of those things that I don't really talk about a whole lot, this interview would definitely be the thing to check out, so make sure to check out Shagsworth's channel. In this interview, we'll put some links and share it on our socials and all that fun stuff. But I'm excited to do it and chat with him tonight. And I will be back doing the news tomorrow. And then, like I said, we will be talking about Alien Romulus, when we do our review later on in the week. So I'm excited. Big week ahead. And thanks for showing up as always, guys. And we will see you again tomorrow. Later.